Hello everyone, INFPGamer here, and this is the official Nintendo Player's Guide that came with our NES. It's been sitting in a closet for about 12 years, I'm assuming, at least. So it's a bit dusty, it's beaten up, the back is torn, and if this thing came with stickers, as some people have said, I can't find ours. Nor do I ever recall any stickers. I'm sure it came with them, but then I was like 8 years old at the time, so it's been a while. This is a great piece of nostalgia right here. I think when I was a kid I read this thing cover to cover. Sad, I know. Here we got the, it says a complete review of over 90 games for your NES. Not so much reviews as the first 24 games are in-depth strategy ideas, sometimes just taking a look at the big game if it's just a couple pages long. More strategy for games like Zelda, Zelda 2, Kid Icarus. And then the 90 are brief descriptions of the storyline and the gameplay mechanics of 90 of the games that were out at the time. This is, I think, 1987, so not too many NES games at the time. I think in the end there was like 700-800 of them by the time it died in 1994. So let's take a look at this thing here. See, we got Rob the Robot, you got a few of the highlights of some of the games that were out at the time, a little welcome description. You can see it's kind of dirty. The first page and the last page are very dirty, dust and ripped and all that. But the important thing is, the pages on the inside are actually in relatively good condition. They're readable after all these years. Amazing. So here I have the table of contents. You got these guides here. They used to have on them adventure series, programmable series, kind of like the Rob the Robot games, the Excitebike games, action series, sort of like the side-scrollers, arcades like Donkey Kong, sports, the Robot series. Okay, the Robot series is separate then. And the light gun games like Duck Hunt, and the only educational game at the time, I think, was Donkey Kong Jr. Donkey Kong Country. Donkey Kong Jr. And here you got all 24 games, the in-depth ones here, and the 90 previews. And first off, we got Legend of Zelda. You got all the items here, the sword, the shields, talking about the overworld, the underworld. Here you got a bunch of the items, which are also mentioned in the introduction to the game. Some of the people that you're going to be meeting. A whole overworld map. It's not really described what each square does. I did write here in pencil kind of what some of this stuff does. I wrote on some of the squares as a kid. Here they got a few tips about the overworld, and then they start talking about the underworld. This is of course the first quest of the game. And they got the first 6 worlds, complete maps, which is really nice. They call them based on their shapes: the eagle, moon, Manji, snake, lizard, and dragon. Next up we got Punch-Out!, which is one of my favorite games. You got some basic strategies here about how to fight, and they talk about the various first several boxers in the minor and major circuit. Got Glass Joe, Von Kaiser, Piston Honda, King Hippo, Don Flamingo, Great Tiger. Gives you some strategies against his technique, and it ends with Bald Bull, giving you a tip on his bull charge. And then it features a few of the fighters in the world circuit, and ends with a tip for Tyson about the first minute and a half in his 1 knockdown punches. Here we got Commando, a game I didn't really play too much of. Talks about some of the enemies, the power-ups, and how you can go underground. And it also has maps for all 4 stages, which is nice. And also talks about some of the secret points. Here we got the classic Super Mario Bros. 1, talking about all the different blocks, the power-ups you're going to get, the brief storyline here. And here we got virtually a lot of the enemies here. Talks about some of the secret points, like the 100 1-up trick with the turtles in World 3-1, I believe. This is actually another game that we didn't have. We got the basic set that came with just the system, and the first 3 games we had were Tennis, Ninja Kid, and Stinger. Or I think it's called Twin Bee in Japan. And here we got World 1 and 2, and Worlds 3 and 4 maps with a couple of brief descriptions and ideas. Ghost and Goblins, one of the hardest games for the NES, according to some. I never had this game, but I played it at a friend's house once in a while. Got to enemies here, more descriptions of the levels, and talks about a tip here for the stage select. Top Gun, another game I played only a little bit and didn't do very well. And I did see the AVGN, and he's talking about the landing sequences, and there was also a refueling sequence. Lots of fun. Double Dribble Basketball, a pretty basic basketball game, but then it's an early game. Got these cute little mascots here, down here. Can you see those? Wrong direction. There we go. New York Eagles, Ox, LA Breakers, and Boston Frogs. And one of the highlights of the game were the close-up shots, which are really nice, even today. And here we got Zelda 2. Basic idea, got a map of the western section, first 3 palaces, and here are detailed descriptions and maps of the first 3 palaces, which would be nice and helpful if I ever decide to LP this game. Metroid. A lovely game that can confuse the hell out of you if you don't know where you're going. Basic items here, the enemies, and we have a full friggin' map of the game. Now that is some useful stuff. This is awesome. Tells you where the E-tanks are, missiles, virtually all of the items. It's hard to get lost with that. And here we've got some basic pointer ideas. Very nice. Here we got Rad Racer. I remember playing this a few times with friends. It's fun. It's only one player, but we alternated and tried to give each other hints and all that stuff. I was never very good at this game, though. I'm not very good at race car games. We got a basic idea of some of the courses and the various enemies that you'll be showing on each level. And here they got the basic map that you get before you start the level and some basic ideas. Here we got Ring King Boxing. I was more of a Punch-Out fan. Some basic tips and jabs. Here we got Gradius, which I did used to have, and I remember I finished that one. Pretty challenging game. We got the little meatball characters, as some people like to call them. And here we have Kid Icarus, which I just finished as of today, which is June 8th, 2010. Got the last few clips to put up tomorrow. We got all of the enemies, the items, the treasure rooms, and maps for the first 2 worlds, with some basic tips on how to progress, and for the bosses as well. It ends at Who Draw, and tells you if you powered yourself up sufficiently, you should be fine. We got Pro Wrestling, a game also that we had, which is kind of fun. It's a very funky game. Bunch of wacky characters, which are its highlight, and some basic moves. Castlevania 1, enemies, items, and some basic strategies for the first 3 levels. Although they call them blocks and stages. Here we got Excite Bike. One of the highlights of this game was the program. It's part of the programmable series. You can make your own track, which is fun if you want to drive your friends crazy. Unfortunately, I don't think you could save your track creations. Here we got Arkanoid, a game I didn't play too much of. Your basic ball-breaking game. Bleh. Russian Attack, I remember I played a little bit of this. Your average side-scroller. It was kind of fun. Here we got some maps for the first couple levels. Donkey Kong, the original. Rygar, I played some of this. This is kind of fun. Also sort of a confusing game if you don't know where to go. Sort of semi-RPG-ish in that you can power yourself up. Kinda, sorta. And we got some basic maps for the first several areas here. We got the main overworld section. And actually goes up until the end of the game. So that's very nice. Maps for a lot of the section is tips on how to beat the last boss. Here we got Spy Hunter. I played a little bit of this game. I remember I had this on our Apple IIc for the computer. But the NES game, I played a little bit of it. I don't know if it ever ends. I think you go to the road areas, and then you go to the boat area up here. And I don't think this game ends. Some of the early games for the NES were kind of like the Atari. They had no ending. They just kept going forever. Goonies 2. I didn't play too much of this one. I know I played the first one on emulation years ago, but I didn't play this one too much. Very confusing game if you don't know where you're going. We got some nice maps. And this is really confusing. Here Here we got the map here. Tells you this one goes here, that one goes there, that one goes there, that one goes there. Oh boy. It's giving me a headache just thinking about it. Ikari Warriors. Oh my god. This game's brutal. This game is really brutal. This game, the levels are long as heck. Here we got the enemies. A fun read, but I don't think I want to torture myself with this game. No siree. I never played this very much. Once or twice at a friend's house. Limited bullets. I mean, come on, that's just... Not interested. Look how long this level is. This is the first level of the game. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh my god. Here we got stage 2. This is ridiculous. You can go in a tank, and if you have one tank, you can split it into 2, which is nice, but oh my god, that I'm not doing that game. No way.